My presentation is on genetically modified food. This presentation is for Global Environmental Health, Spring of 2017, and I'm Huiru Jiang. And I'm going to walk you through the purpose and objectives of the presentation to start. So our first objective is to clarify the definition of genetically modified food. The next objective will be get to know the common kinds of GM foods to see which kinds of food and crops that we cultivate or plant most, what kind of GM food that we eat most. And then we will get familiar with the distribution and trends of GM foods in recent years, both around the world and within the USA. And then I will talk about the customer's attitude and acceptance on GM foods to see how do people thinking about this technology and how much will they accept it. The final step, I will talk about the impact of GM foods on environment and human health by using the example of GM corn specifically. So in order to walk you through, these are the different tables that we are going to be looking at in order to meet these objectives. So our first table will look at the definition of common GM foods. GM food is foods that are produced from organisms that have had genes introduced into their DNA using the methods of genetic engineering, which does not occur naturally by mating and or natural recombination. As the picture shows that in general, GM food will be stronger than the natural food, and it will grow faster and last longer, which to some extent can reduce hunger and increase the production of the food. The top 10 GM foods are corn, tomatoes, golden rice, potatoes, soy, sugar beets, cottonseed, squash, canola, and papaya. Next step, the distribution and trends in the world and in USA. I just list the top 6 countries which cultivate GM food. We can see that from 2009 to 2010, the growth remains strong, which hectareage increasing about 14 million hectares, almost 10% just between 2009 and 2010. And in 2010, we can see that the USA accounts for nearly 45% of the whole world biotech hectares. The second is Brazil, and accounts for 17%, and third, Argentina, for 15.4%. And in the USA, between the year of 2000 and 2016, the main GM crops, corn, cotton, and soy, are increasing significantly. Almost all the cultivation are genetically engineered in the 2016 in the USA. And next, let's talk about the customer attitude and acceptance. At first, I was thinking that most people may have positive attitude and a high acceptance on GM foods, but the searching results surprised me. We can see that 64% people think GM foods have no or very little benefit. 69% people think GM foods is totally not or very little health, and 51% people think eating or using GM foods are unethical or very unethical. So most people hold a negative attitude on GM foods. The majority of subjects stated that it would be against their principles to consume GM foods, and that 58% think that it would be morally wrong for them to eat GM food. More than half of the subjects said that they would feel guilty if they ate GM foods. Only between 12% and 13% said that they would be interested in buying GM foods even if they had a lower price and tasted better. However, if they were healthier and better for the environment, a substantially larger proportion of the subjects stated that they would buy such food, which will account for 31% and 43% respectively. As for the genetically modified corn is the most common crops using genetically engineering technology. I will use it to talk about its impacts both on environment and on human health. For environmental health, for environmental impacts, the advantages are that first, it can reduce the need for pesticides, and the beneficial insects fare much better. And the farmers who plant GM coins make more money in tougher times. The insect and various resistance traits have already saved several industries. And then it can reduce soil erosion and fuel use, which lead to green gas emission savings. And it have lower levels of mycotoxins, potentially potentially carcinogenic compounds to humans. And for the disadvantage, we know that the gene will flow into other species and increase the weakness of nearby wild relatives, and it can produce new pathogens. Some crops that are resistant to insect or fungal genes target on other organisms, killing the beneficial insects and fungi in the environment, and it will threaten the diversity of organisms. For impacts on human health, on one hand, it can reduce the hunger of an area, and it is resistant to insects, which will reduce the probability of the microbes, and it can increase the nutritional value. On the other hand, as it acts as allergens, it will provoke a multi-system disorder, and it will increase in the incidence of autoimmune disorders such as type 1 diabetes, lupus, and celiac disease, as well as of allergies. And it has some toxic proteins and some antibiotic resistant bacteria which may lead to new disease. In summary, we know that cultivation of genetically modified foods are increasing in recent years, and the United States are the top one country of GM crops planting. The majority of people have a negative attitude on GM foods, and GM food is a double-edged sword, and I think in general the harm does more than good, both for environment and human health. And here are the reference for the data and other materials. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.